What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it turns out Devil May Cry on the Switch might be priced a little too high, but that's not even the weirdest part that Capcom is doing here. We're going to talk a bit about that release and why there are just some strange things going on with that one. We also saw a new report come out that shows that Microsoft might not be attacking next generation consoles with, well, the consoles. It might just be one system rather than the originally thought of two, with Lockhart and Anaconda kind of doubling up on release day. So some interesting stuff there. This weekend, by the way, it's Friday, so this weekend, I'm going to be heading to Too Many Games. It's going to be a lot of fun there. Looking forward to meeting a bunch of fun people, seeing hopefully some cool stuff I can pick up for the shows with disassemblies on some cool retro systems, maybe some obscure ones, and just having a good time. So if you're in like the Pennsylvania, Oaks, PA area, come on by this weekend and check it out. It's a lot of fun. I go every year. Today we're actually going to start with an interesting one. Take a look at this. This is actually Disaster Report 4. You might be saying, wait, I thought Disaster Report 4 was canceled. Actually, it kind of was. This is a long time ago. Back in 2011, it was originally canceled, and then it was revived in 2015, and then released in 2018 on the PlayStation 4, and NIS America is now bringing it over to the West in 2020 on the PlayStation 4, the PC, and the Switch. And you might be wondering, what is this? Well, it was a game that I remember back on the PS2, not this one specifically, but the series started back in 2002 on the PS2. I actually remember seeing this on G4, if I'm remembering correctly, where they did the Cinematech videos, and you would just watch cutscenes. I remember it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It's technically a survival action-adventure game where you pretty much go through disasters trying to save people and, well, survive. So it's an interesting idea and a premise, but it is definitely a niche game, so it's probably not going to sell a ton, but for people who remember it fondly, and now you're seeing it come over to the West 2020 on everything but the Xbox, interestingly, it might be worth looking into. And if you're a fan of cheap games like me and probably every other gamer who wants to add to their backlog, possibly a game you don't even open for months, well, PlayStation added several more titles to kind of their selects. Here's actually an image that they put up on PlayStation blog, and you can see a few in there that are a bit new to this. We do have Persona 5, which is a great value at $20 at $19.99 for the PlayStation hits. And then you also have Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition, God of War 3, and the big one that I saw here, which is great, is Resident Evil 7. That is awesome to have that head to the PlayStation hits lineup that you can actually start picking up June 28th. And of course, that means you can also get these physically in stores and everything, but it does have that red case and border, which for people who like to set them up on their shelves and have a nice, even, clean looking spine across the board, might not like that as much. I've seen that quite a bit in the collector's circles, so keep that in mind too. It's going to be a little off if you look at it from the side, but hey, $20 for something like Persona 5 or even Resident Evil 7 is a pretty good deal. We also had an update for Alpha Protocol. Do you remember we talked about that yesterday, how it was pulled down from Steam from the publisher's request, and then it also got pulled off of the PlayStation and Xbox marketplaces as well? We couldn't figure out what was going on. There wasn't really any other response or explanation outside of that one little message about the publisher. Well, we do have an explanation, and unfortunately, it's probably not the one most of us were hoping, which was, oh, we're going to remake this or remaster it or mess around with it and release it again. No, it looks like it's actually expired due to music rights or copyright with music that has now expired. Kind of a shame. Obsidian really liked that game. I remember specifically in interviews them talking about how much they enjoyed making it and the finished product. Never really caught on, didn't sell that great. So unfortunately, while I might like a remaster or you might like a remaster, it looks like it just had to do with the music. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Devil May Cry on the Switch. Do you remember how this was a random announcement where they said, hey guys, yeah, Devil May Cry, we're just going to put that on the Switch summertime or spring. We don't really know when it's coming out yet or how much it's going to cost, but it's coming. And most of us said, why not the collection? Why not the trilogy? What are you doing? Why aren't you getting the collection and bringing that over? Or even the third one? Why the first one? At least it's not the second one, but why the first one? And they didn't really say. Well, they at least told us now when we can buy it, how much it costs, and this very weird bloated install size. Something I'm not really sure why it's so large considering the size of the collection. But, well, this is what actually Capcom said. We'll actually be able to pick this up launching June 24th in America, June 25th in Europe, and June 27th in Japan. It is over 9 gigabytes for some weird reason, and it is a price tag of $19.99, making it not much cheaper than the full collection, the HD collection you can get on like the PlayStation or the Xbox. And in some cases, it might even be a little more expensive, as I've actually found that collection on sale a few times for under $20, so under the price of just this. Now, I think most of us understand it costs money to port these things to the Switch. It doesn't just happen. You don't just like snap your finger and boom, there it is on the Switch. It takes time and effort, but if you know it's going to cost $20, why do you port that? And why is this thing like 9 gigabytes? 9.2 gigabytes is the quoted size for this game, when the collection with all of the games is what, 12 gigabytes? Yeah, it's an odd situation. I don't know why that is. Again, head scratcher from Capcom. We've seen it with things like Resident Evil 4 being priced way higher than it should be on the Switch, and now we see Devil May Cry, the first one, and I have a strong feeling that the third one is also going to come over, and that'll also be $20, which means those two together will be $40, and if they bring the second one over, make that $20, they just got a full $60 game out of most Devil May Cry fans, all because I guess the Switch is popular, or they didn't want to just do the full collection in one shot, just bring over the ones people even care about, the first one and the third one. Most people don't care about the second one. So Capcom, I'm not really sure what you're doing. I'm also curious if this is actually going to sell that well, considering people who have seen it at preview events now have said that, yeah, it looks like a PS2 game that's been up-resed. Again, as we would expect, it was a PS2 game, so yeah, it makes sense, but $20? Here's the thing. As soon as we heard it was going to be the first one, I had no idea how they would price it to make sense, and I pretty much knew we would end up in this situation where it feels too expensive. Unless they were going to release it for $10, which they weren't, even 15 feels like, I mean, again, the collection, you know, it's tough. So I think the better thing would have been to just get the collection, right? It was already moved to the PS4 and the Xbox One and everything, and just bring that over and be done with it. I don't know why they're going SKU by SKU or game by game, I should say at this point. Next up, let's talk about NHL 2020. Now, I hear from people occasionally about this. They ask, hey, what's going on with NHL? I haven't heard anything about this. Yeah, people do care about NHL. And I remember for a while it was a very popular series actually in the video game world where people would really enjoy it and people said the games were great. I remember selling them all the time to people and they absolutely loved them. But it seems like it's kind of fallen off with EA, and I wonder if that has to do with microtransactions maybe not fitting in as well as they do with FIFA, which has their full attention. Well, at least for NHL fans, I can't tell you how good it's going to be at all, really. They're still doing it. Okay, NHL 2020 is coming out. It's only coming out on the PS4 and the Xbox, not the Switch or the PC, and it kind of got tucked away on their website. They put a little press release out, but it wasn't a big deal for them, it seemed, and it's actually coming out in September. They have it marked September 13th. They went over several different features as well as, well, go figure, an Ultimate Edition, as you would expect, cover athletes and everything. I don't know what happened with NHL because I do remember it being fairly popular I remember selling it a lot on the Xbox actually. The 360, it was really big, but then the Xbox One, it was even bigger. So I don't know. I guess it just, like I said, fell by the wayside. FIFA and Madden seem to have like their full attention, and that's probably where they make the most money in terms of recurring revenue and spending in games as a service, despite it being an annualized series. But at least for NHL fans, as long as you have a PS4 or an Xbox One, you can pick it up in September. Next up, let's talk about Xbox, Microsoft, and Scarlett. That would be their next generation console, or we thought family of consoles at one point, as Brad Sams had talked heavily from Thurrott.com about there being multiple systems. He had the code names and everything, and these code names would appear at different times to developers and with internal documents and everything, according to Brad Sams. And here's the weird thing. If you recall at E3 this past few weeks, we didn't really hear much about there being multiple systems as much as they straight up focused on Scarlett as one system. Remember, they talked about the SSD and everything and all this stuff. It's going to be amazing and everything, but they never really mentioned multiple systems. In fact, it seemed that within an interview with Business Insider, Phil Spencer even talked about there just being one console. So what happened? Well, a lot of people aren't really sure. In fact, Brad said that it's kind of been scrubbed now. Lockhart and Anaconda were the original plans, we thought, and now, well, Lockhart's been pretty much erased at this time from the plans, and it seems like they are going to go straight forward with one system. So what does that mean for Microsoft's launch with next gen against Sony and their PlayStation 5? Well, That's where things are going to be interesting, because originally we thought that Anaconda could be as strong as they wanted because there would be an entry-level system, a system that could kind of walk in and say, hey, this is going to be $400, but here's like the $600 guy. I don't think that can happen anymore. Not if there's one system. They cannot price it too high, because if they do, they're going to get into trouble. If the PlayStation 5 undercuts them, again, like the PS4 undercut the Xbox One, they're going to have some problems. They're going to be in some trouble. So I think at this time, if they are launching with one, they are going to have to be much more price conscious than they were originally if they had two systems planned. And that, of course, are plans that will change internally time to time. Now, I do think another system will launch down the road. I don't think Lockhart is completely gone, or, hey, the Xbox One's sad, right? Let's just do the Scarlett sad, I guess. And they remove the disk drive and it's all digital and they make it cheaper. I think that's completely possible. I mean, we all know there are going to be multiple systems anyway. And hey, probably a revision. Microsoft would be smart if they took xCloud and just put it on the current Xbox Ones that are already out there and said, hey, if you can't afford the Scarlett right now, you can still play the next-gen games by using xCloud through streaming on your Xbox One. I wonder how that would go over. I still think most people who are really into the Xbox, they'll just upgrade to the next system and play locally. But interesting stuff there, to where we won't have a family of systems, it seems right now anyway, with Phil Spencer telling Business Insider that it seems just be one system, not multiple consoles. Price is gonna be the most interesting thing next gen. I am absolutely curious if they both will go for that $500 target, and if that will put off some potential customers. In our last bit of news, I'm actually going to leave you guys with some pretty good news, I think, going into the weekend. We've seen Daemon X Machina get kind of forgotten about at times. I keep bringing it up because I do want it to be good. I want it to go over well. I mean, it's Armored Core lineage is there. I want this to do well, and I want it to sell within expectations. I don't think it's going to, set the world on fire or anything, but within expectations, to where they can think about expanding on the universe, maybe even a sequel. The thing is, though, we played that, the alpha or the open beta or whatnot, and we all left feedback. One of the things I think everyone mentioned was frame rate. Everybody mentioned it. They said, look, it chugs at times. There are some pretty sketchy points where it almost outright freezes on us before it keeps going. Can we fix that? And it looks like, at least according to the game directors and producers there, when they were talking with Dengeki, they did indeed improve the frame rate, and it's not coming through, of course, in things like the improvement trailer where they talked about a lot of stuff. It's gonna be something we're gonna have to see for ourselves, but I'm really happy that they took that criticism specifically to heart, because Armored Core and stuff, I liked when it started to get a bit faster, and if we're dealing with frame rate issues here, it's gonna hurt the combat, I think, especially if it feels like we're being cheated out of different things that are happening on screen because everything just drops into the teens for the frame rate. I would much prefer the resolution to drop a bit and have that frame rate be stable across the board, or at least within reason. I'm glad they heard that and that they've been working on that. So we're rolling into September when it's supposed to come out mid-September, and at that time, I'm sure we'll see all kinds of stuff, at least about its performance, because I think it actually has a really interesting art style. It's just going to be, how does it run at this point? And let's finish up today with the comment of the day from yesterday. This one is actually from Sokar saying, so since Jedi Fallen Order won't be getting loot boxes, will it be getting surprise mechanics at some point? That is an interesting question, because, hey, there's no loot boxes in there, but we got some awesome surprise mechanics for you guys, but it's not loot boxes. Surprise mechanics. That's the kind of corporate speak that we hear a lot from companies when it comes to this stuff, when it comes to PR damage control. I would hope that Respawn said, look, EA, we gotta make a good Star Wars game. We have this license with Disney. They're eventually gonna re-up it. Let's make something that we can show them, because I don't think Disney gets the whole loot box thing necessarily with the Star Wars universe. They make a movie, they make a ton of money, and then they move on and make another movie. If I'm Disney, I'm probably like, guys, Star Wars is gonna sell. Make a good Star Wars game, it's gonna sell. There's hundreds of millions of people right now who would buy it from you if it was good. So I'm hoping that EA is like, all right, Respawn, look, you got a shot at this. We need something so we can show Disney at the end of this term, say, hey, look, we made at least a good one. give us that contract back. But hey, surprise mechanics, that's a great way to go back on what they said before, which was no loot boxes. Although I thought they called them surprise mechanics. Why are they calling them loot boxes? EA's all over the place. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure to hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether it is this whole thing right now with Devil May Cry from Capcom on the Switch, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that one. And if it's priced too high, should they have brought the whole collection over? Why is it so large? Let me know about that one there. And then what do you think about Jedi Fallen Order? Do you think it will actually escape with no monetization, or do you think it's probably going to have a surprise mechanic or microtransaction of some kind? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys back here Monday morning for Newswave.